Hare His Divine Grace, Lacey, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gora, Prahladananda, and Slava, plenty of Bhakti.
Hare Krishna.
Subran centered.
Slava okupljeni Bhakta.
Subran Bhakti. I know I okupljeni, but in Serbia, in Slovenia.
Zbrani, Saslava Zbrani Bhakta.
Slava Sabrani Bhakta. Slava Sabrani Bhakta. Om Agyanatmanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksur Militam Yena Asmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobisham Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shigro Shiyuta Parakamalam Shigro Vaishnavam Scha Shirupam Sagridatam Sahagana Radhanatam Ditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Vrajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakham Vitam Sha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Gate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchena Gorangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishnu Bhanu Sudadevi, Pranamami Hari Priye, Vancha Kapa Dhruvyascha, Dripasinu Vyevcha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda, Chaitanya Radhar, Shivasati Gora Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Happy to be back here. And you can say something about Krishna that will inspire us to do something for Krishna. And I was just reading a part of the Bhagavad Gita, which I'm going to go over, which is in line with the rest of what I was saying. This is a famous verse from the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text number 2. Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pravakshavargamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, is the perfection of religion, is everlasting, and is joyfully performed. So please repeat. This knowledge is the king of education. The most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge. And because it gives direct perception of the self, I don't seem very convinced about that part. We'll try it again. And because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting. And it is joyfully performed. And I'm just going to read a small part of the purport because we don't have time to read the whole thing. I've already read this, but I'm going to read it again and just talk about it and save some time for questions. It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. This direct result is actually perceived, and we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the course of chanting without offenses, feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. Furthermore, one engages not only in hearing, but in trying to broadcast the message of devotional activities as well, or if he engages himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, he gradually feels spiritual progress. This advance in the spiritual life does not depend on any kind of previous education or qualification. The method itself is so pure that simply engaging in it, one becomes pure. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gora Pracharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschatyaye. In this verse we're connecting two parts of knowledge. Knowledge has two aspects. One part of knowledge is to know the difference between oneself and the body. And the second part of knowledge is to understand, to realize or understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this chapter will deal with the process by which we can realize Krishna and that way also understand our real selves. Now it should be quite exciting to find out who we actually are. In devotional service, gradually we'll actually understand that I'm not this body, and that I actually have a different identity, a completely different identity than what I'm assuming now. I have a spiritual identity. But in order to realize that, we have to take to the process of, the process that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us through our disciple succession, and specifically the processes that Srila Rupa Goswami is delivering to us through Srila Prabhupada. Those processes we can read about in the Nectar of Devotion and other such books. But in any case, that's called sadhana bhakti, which is all based upon chanting Hare Krishna. In one sense, it's quite simple. If we simply ask sincerely Srimati Radharani and Krishna to engage us in their loving service, then that's what they'll do immediately. You don't have to wait. Immediately they'll engage us in their loving service. And one will feel some transcendental pleasure. By just chanting Hare Krishna. On the other hand, that will not be sufficient to actually make, for most people, I mean some people it might be, but in general it's not sufficient to make spiritual progress. There's a difference between getting free from the material energy, which is nice. I mean, I don't think any of us will object to getting free from the miseries of material existence. Misery of material existence. I don't really care about that. Bring them on! I like material misery. My toothache, I've only got one. If only I had one on the other side, kind of even it out. I have a toothache on one side. Let me pray, oh Krishna, give me a toothache on the other side. I can have a balanced toothache. We'd like to become free from the miseries of material existence. And the chanting will actually do that if we chant well with attention and as an eternal servant of Krishna. We have to become convinced that actually there is a Srimati Radharani, there is a Krishna, and they do appear when we chant Hare Krishna. It's not simply some theory, it has to become a practical experience for us in order to experience the happiness of chanting Hare Krishna. Of course, one thing is that's nice, if we chant long enough, just like we have our kirtan melas and things like that, we chant long enough, we chant enough japa, eventually our mind gets tired and it quits and we can actually hear something. But other than that, we're chanting, and our minds are chanting, and we're all going, Ram, Ram, Ram. And our mind is talking to us, bringing us into the past, into the future, rarely into the present. So if we're actually chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and trying to feel Krishna's presence, then we might even remember Krishna. That's called Krishna consciousness. So it's nice when the devotees in the Hare Krishna movement become Krishna conscious. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us he is God. So that's, a lot of people tell us they're God, or act as if they're God. But Krishna also, he's another one who tells us he's God. And he makes this claim that everything is coming from him, all material and spiritual world. Now we don't worry about the spiritual world because we don't have any idea what it's like. So Krishna can claim anything he wants about the spiritual world. It makes no difference to us. As far as the material world, we only know a very small part of that material world. And therefore when Krishna makes the claim everything's coming from him, we start thinking, actually we usually don't take it very seriously, that everything is happening due to the mercy of Krishna. That not a blade of grass moves without Krishna's desire, which is basically our sabandha, our knowledge we're trying to cultivate, that everything is happening under Krishna's direction. In other words, Krishna is actually the proprietor of everything, and Krishna is actually controlling everything that goes on. So, with that idea in mind, then we can try to accept that everything is Krishna's property, everything should be utilized in Krishna's property, and therefore when Krishna says everything is coming from me, then we don't have to worry about everything so much, as we just have to worry about what's within our realm of, which says influence. How are we utilizing what's in the realm of our influence in Krishna's service? That will determine where our consciousness is. Just like we have a conception that the spiritual master, at the time of initiation, he accepts the disciple, and they become his disciple. Of course, it's a little contradictory to our... In one sense, it's not contradictory. In another sense, we don't understand it properly. It becomes somewhat contradictory. If the spiritual master thinks that these are my disciples, it may be right, it may be wrong. It may be right in the sense that if he thinks he's the doer of activities and that he is that identity of a spiritual master, then he's in trouble. Or if we ever have women gurus, they'll be in trouble too. If one thinks I'm simply an instrument for Krishna, and that actually the activities that are going on by the mercy of my spiritual master and Krishna, and I'm simply an observer and desiring that Krishna serves these devotees or helps these devotees, that my spiritual master helps these devotees by helping me become an instrument, and that nothing belongs to me. My identity is that I'm the servant of my spiritual master. That's my only identity. And that whatever I'm doing as an instrument for my spiritual master and Krishna. And therefore, if someone thinks that they're my disciple, well, that's very nice. If I'm actually connected to my spiritual master and Krishna, then they're connecting with me, they're connecting with my spiritual master and Krishna. So that's very good. As Srila Prabhupada once said, that the spiritual master, he doesn't think himself to be a spiritual master. He thinks himself to be a servant of his spiritual master. That's his only identity. And when he gives an instruction to his followers or to his disciples, then he knows that actually, because he's connected to his spiritual master, and because his spiritual master is connected to Krishna, because he's in the super soul in the heart, so his spiritual master is giving him directions, what to say to his disciples and followers. So actually the instructions are coming from his spiritual master, And so when he gives instructions and see that his disciples are following them, then he learns from them how to become a better disciple of his spiritual master. They teach him by their activities, by following those instructions, how to become a better follower and servant of his spiritual master. So the spiritual master takes his disciples and his followers as a kind of guru, instructor. So this is very high philosophy, but that's the reality of the situation. In any case, if one thinks that these are my disciples and one forgets his spiritual master, then one is simply driven by false ego. So that's not very much appreciated. And although we may be instructing, giving the same instructions, and our disciples may follow them and go back to Godhead, but if we're doing it out of false ego, then we'll have to come back and maybe get a spiritual master who will teach us how to properly perform devotional service. So the spiritual master may actually engage to a large extent in his service as being a spiritual master, but unless he learns to be a servant to his spiritual master, then he may not get the full benefit of his service. But his disciples, if they fully surrender to his instructions coming in simple succession, they may go back to Godhead and bring him back to Godhead. Which Prabhupada said, if one of my disciples goes back to Godhead, then they can bring me back to Godhead. Because Prabhupada he's our acharya, so he teaches by example. In any case, Krishna is God. We've heard that. It means he's the source of everything. But we only have a very limited realm to deal with Krishna right now. That is what's right before us. And therefore, we have to learn how to deal with everything and everyone in relationship to Krishna. So that takes a lot of knowledge, takes a lot of perspective, it takes a lot of conviction, it takes a lot of skill, and it takes a lot of character to perfect that. One can spend one's whole life in gaining knowledge, trying to see things clearly, trying to become convinced enough to do anything and everything in the service of Krishna, how to become skillful in what we're doing, so we become more and more effective instruments. We gain more and more transcendental discrimination and expertise, especially in the loving exchanges with the devotees. And then we have an impeccable character. Every moment, everything we say, everything we think, everything we do is simply as a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And therefore, wherever we go, we carry the acharyas with us, we carry the 6 Goswamis, we carry the Panchatattva with their associates, and the whole spiritual world is there also, at least part that we're engaging in. So first we have to accept that Krishna is God, and everything that goes along with it, that there's nothing here that belongs to me. I should utilize whatever I can in Krishna's service. Whatever intelligence Krishna is giving me, I have to try to utilize in Krishna's service. And then, the next part is, Krishna says, Mach Chita, Mach Kata Prana, Bodhiyantas Parasparam, Katayantas Pramam Nityam, Tushanti Cha, Ramanti Cha. That the thoughts of my pure devotees, they dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss by enlightening one another and conversing about it. So prana, Machita, consciousness and prana. So it's not enough to try to put our consciousness in Krishna, as Prabhupada is saying in this verse. It's not enough to just hear and hear and hear, chant and chant and chant, and try to hear. It's not enough to just hear. We also have to engage our prana. We have to do something on the basis of what we've heard. We have to engage our energies in Krishna's service. So that may be cleaning the temple, Savayamana Krishna, Padara Vindayo, Vichamsi, Vaikuntha Gunarnavardhana. That Marjan breach. He first of all was listening. He fixed his mind on Krishna, and then Vaikuntha Savayamana Krishna Vidara Vindayo Vichamsi Vaikuntha Gunarnavardhana. And then he gave his words in glorifying Vaikuntha. But then he also cleansed the temple. He did so many different things. And touched the lotus feet of the devotees, etc. So we can't only just hear, we have to utilize our energies and what our succession wants us to do. So Prabhupada, in this verse, he says the second thing is that in the course of time, not only one becomes purified of all contamination, but he can actually make spiritual progress if he engages his energies in the preaching mission. So as I said before, we don't really have a very dynamic preaching mission in most of the parts of our either Serbia or Bosnia or Croatia. There's something going on. We're not completely dead. We're just almost dead. We're unconscious, but at least we're breathing. So, the preaching mission is meant to wake up, just like Lord Jesus Christ, he's famous because he woke up the dead. So that's what our preaching mission is supposed to do also. Wake up the dead soul, the sleeping soul, so that the soul actually feels some spiritual progress. And what is that spiritual progress? What is the spiritual progress we're supposed to actually feel? Well, one thing is the gaining of transcendental knowledge, which is what this verse that I read is all about. That is to actually see everyone and everything in relation to Krishna. To actually understand that not only the devotees should be the object of my love, and they certainly should be, and Krishna should be the object of my love, but as Satchidananda Maharaj was saying, also Jivadaya. I should also feel something about the other parts of our spiritual family, how they're somehow or another disconnected with Krishna. That is the innocent people. Now I don't personally feel that much about the conditioned souls, but I know the Christians in Prabhupada does. And therefore, they've instructed us to perform this mission. So I know if I feel for myself, at least, then I'll do the mission, because I know I'll get Krishna's mercy. So if I want to be merciful to anyone, then I should try to be merciful to myself at least. Now, if I think I have all the mercy already, and I'm just giving it out to others, then Krishna's not going to give me any mercy, unless we want some mercy. So if we think we're already perfect, then we're probably have a lot of problems. But if we actually understand what we're actually at, what our consciousness really is, and then we see what is really in my best interest. Certainly it's my interest to chant Hare Krishna, to develop my relation with Krishna, but it won't be possible unless I develop my relation with the devotees. And unless I develop my relation with the devotees in relationship to helping the conditioned souls also, because the devotees may also be conditioned souls, bring others to hear about Krishna, to chant Hare Krishna, unless I make some effort to get others to take to this process, then I won't get the full mercy of the Lord, as here says, spiritual progress. I may Ishvara Prema, there was Vaishnav Seva, Jivadoya, and what's the first one? Krishna? Namaruchi. So what does Namaruchi really mean? Kavi Habibo Seydina Aparada Gucci. Is that no? Aparada Gucci. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Gucci, maybe Gucci means to eradicate. Aparada Gucci, Shudaname Ruchi, Kripa Bola anyhow, whatever it is. Now when will that day be mine, my offenses ceasing, the taste of the name increasing? When my heart will your mercy shine? When, oh when will that day be mine? Aparada gucci, shudaname ruchi, vipa bole habe ridaye sanchar, kavihavi bolo sedinar. So, what does Namaruchi mean? It means love for Krishna. It's the beginning of love for Krishna. It's called Ruchi. It means we're actually feeling Krishna's presence. We can't have love for Krishna without feeling extreme pleasure and happiness. Because Krishna is his very essence is pleasure. He is made out of pleasure. So we can't be conscious of Krishna and not feel transcendental pleasure. It's not possible. So, by love of Krishna, we can get love of Krishna to some extent by chanting Hare Krishna. And we'll certainly give Krishna's mercy. And Vaishnava Seva, then certainly we'll get Srimati Radharani's mercy. If we serve the devotees, but if we want Jivadaya, that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. That's the highest state of transcendental happiness and ecstasy. And for us in Kali Yuga, it is very difficult to get Namaruchi, as anyone probably here can testify. Anyone been chanting Hare Krishna for 5 years or more? 10 years? 1 year? How many have gotten full Namaruchi so far? Every time we chant Hare Krishna, then immediately we feel Krishna's presence. What's that?
All by kirtan.
Kirtan, sometimes in kirtan, but whatever. When you chant japa every day, you wake up, oh, where's my japa beads? Hare Krishna, oh. Hare Ram, oh. Is that your experience? What's that?
Very rare.
Yes, sometimes. Without a little Namaruchi, the holy name would be pretty 15 years, Hare Krishna, when is it going to get a little taste? 15 years I've been chanting day and night, and it's so boring, I can't believe it. All right, 16 years I'm going to give up. So a little Ruchi has to be there, sometimes. But actual Namaruchi is, we're chanting, and every time we say Hare Krishna, we feel both Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna's presence, and Lord Balaram's presence too. And as we get more and more taste, then sometimes there's some ecstasy also, which is bringing us to a sakti. My general chanting Namaruchi means, my general chanting is I'm always experiencing some taste when I'm chanting. And sometimes when I'm chanting in kirtan, when the circumstances are favorable, then I feel intense ecstasy. Then not only I feel Krishna's presence in his name, but Krishna's pastimes come to my mind, and I become absorbed in Krishna even more. That when I'm chanting sometimes, as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, my whole house turned into Vaikuntha, into Goloka Vrindavan. And when I took the Charanamrita, it became the river Ganges. That's called Asakti Bhava Prema. In any case, Jivadaya, Namaruchi is the beginning of actually Nishta, and then Ruchi. This is the beginning of love for Krishna. Actually becoming intensely attached to Krishna. Just like if imagine you had unlimited digestion, and you had unlimited preparations before you that were always getting more delicious with every bite. And you could eat the whole day and night and not get fat. So imagine that. So that's what chanting the holy names is like in the state of ruchi. Not only you feel Krishna's presence, but then everything turns into spiritual pleasure. Everyone you look at gives you pleasure, different kinds of pleasure. Every object there reminds you of Krishna, and at the same time becomes just like Krishna, has the same quality as Krishna. So that's called ruchi. One is practically in the spiritual world. This is the spiritual world already. That takes some time, especially in Kali Yuga. We have a few things we're thinking about when we're chanting Hare Krishna. A few things we're worrying about. And then we have Vaishnava Seva. How easy it is to serve all the Vaishnavas. Is everyone here completely absorbed in serving all the Vaishnavas? Every time you see a Vaishnava, immediately, the whole day in the camp, you see everyone just paying obeisances day and night, hugging each other. That all the spiritual masters are just trying to convince everyone to separate so they can stop hugging each other so they can hear the class. No problem. Vaishnava, simply loving exchanges. There's no enviousness. There's no anger. There's no frustration. There's only loving Vaishnava Seva. So why Jivadoya? Well, at least we should feel some compassion for at least one jiva, ourselves. We don't feel compassion for ourselves. That here I'm chanting Hare Krishna, it's supposed to bring me back to Godhead. Kali Yuga is advancing, and I'm not quite sure if I'm going to make it in the next 10,000 years. And I don't want to be around when those little people are eating people, the devotees. It's going to be quite embarrassing. Hare Krishna, your arms disappeared. I better improve my chanting. Get out of here. So we have to be compassionate, at least to ourselves. Jivadoya. So how to be compassionate to ourselves? So Prabhupada's saying here, the preaching mission, we have to take part in the preaching mission. Because I'm talking about that. And what preaching mission? So we have to manifest the preaching mission. We have to come, at least as Prabhupada said, don't, even if you can't expand the movement, he told his leaders, at least try to maintain what I have, what I've given you. At least let the books get distributed. Let the Harinam parties go out. Let new devotees come. Let the devotees engage in sadhana bhakti. Let there be temples. Let's at least get back what Prabhupada gave us. Then we can go beyond that, take over the government or whatever else. That will be in the course of time. At least let's come back to the Hare Krishna movement again. And we think, those are the old times, that's when Prabhupada was here, back in prehistoric times. That was ancient history. Times have changed. Now the dharma of this age is to be in Maya. It's too much to save these souls. They've advanced too much into the illusory energy. Maybe Kalki will help them, but I can't. No, we've missed out on a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity. I mean, after the disappearance of Acharya, like Srila Prabhupada, it's always predicted that there'll be confusion, but we're not supposed to exist in confusion. We're supposed to go forward. And therefore we have to take shelter of Prabhupada's instructions and become convinced that not only we should keep on engaging in our sadhana, keep on trying to hear, but we should go beyond that. We should try to see what's really going on, put everything in a proper perspective, and then with conviction, go out and spread the Hare Krishna movement. Try to invite people to come, even if it's only to the camp here. Invite your friends to come to the camp, or to the Bhakti Hub, or whatever, and they're having kirtan of the devotees from ISKCON and chanting. And try to engage in a way that will bring people. And what would we bring them to? The lecture should be, they should talk about Krishna in such a way as that new people understand what they're talking about. Otherwise, if you bring someone to the temple and they're talking about, how to act as a gopi in the spiritual world, that the speaker is saying, well, actually, I want to tell you the reality, I'm actually a manjari in the spiritual world, and I have a multicolored dress. I'm 14 years old. I'm actually 13. Eternally, I'm 13, and I'm a maidservant to Srimati Radharani. Any questions? As I was watching, as I mentioned one video, 26 Second Avenue, when the devotees didn't know anything. And they were interviewing. So an interviewer came and was asking the devotees what this is all about. And one devotee who was there, he was saying, Swamiji is teaching us that we're all gopis. That we're actually all female. So I imagine people watching really, if I go down to the Hare Krishna movement, they'll teach me I'm actually I'm not a male, I'm a female. I wonder if I really want to go down to the Hare Krishna movement. So we should have someone appropriately explaining how we're not this body. Prabhupada could have explained so many things, and they asked him so many questions. I remember one time the devotee asked him, what's the relationship between Srimati Radharani and Balaram? Seems like a legitimate question, except if it was a legitimate question, you'd be surprised at Prabhupada's reaction to such a legitimate question. It wasn't very favorable. That we don't even understand who Srimati Radharani is, we don't understand what Lord Balaram is, we don't understand what a spiritual relationship is, and we're asking such a ridiculous question. And whatever answer we get, we're not going to understand either. So as you can see, after some time, Prabhupada stopped answering questions. But his very speaking was an answer to people's questions. So for years and years, if we listen to his lectures, because they're available now, we'll see that Prabhupada dealt on what would be considered to be, by some people, somewhat elementary. And therefore, some of his godbrothers, for one reason or another, who had some interest in so-called helping the Hare Krishna movement, decided that they were going to reveal what Prabhupada, that they claimed, either that Prabhupada didn't or couldn't or whatever, reveal to us. Therefore they were, come, and I'll tell you something. You're a manjari. I'm a what? A manjari. What kind of cookie is that? No, manjari, you're a little girl, really. And this is your dress. People were telling me I was wearing a dress, but I should put on. I remember one time I went to Mayapur. This was the first time I was in Mayapur, and I met one of my friends there. This was 1974. And my friend had left the Hare Krishna movement. And he was living by around 100 yards from the temple, from the Mayapur temple, which was not much of a temple at that time. It was the Lotus building under construction. And he was living in a little hut. And I went into it, and he's telling me, yes, I went to this Babaji in Radhakund, and I came back to Mayapur, and he told me who I am. I said, really, who are you? He said, I'm a peacock. I said, really? And what did he tell you to do? He told me, this is my sadhana. Who, meow, meow, meow. I said, really? And he said, yes, I'm a peacock, and that's my sadhana. And in 5 minutes. But anyhow, and I said, don't you feel some agitation sometimes? He said, no, if I ever get agitated, my wife's right here, no problem. Because his wife is also a peacock. So Prabhupada preached according to time, place, and circumstance, and the audience was not necessarily on the level so that their rasa could be revealed right away. So those who thought that someone like Prabhupada didn't reveal everything, well, they probably wouldn't have understood what Prabhupada was doing either. And therefore, whatever they had to say probably wouldn't be very effective to their audience either. So my point is that we have to make the preaching movement applicable to actually what's going on, especially for ourselves. So it's going to be gradual. I don't think we can suddenly just manifest a Hare Krishna movement out of nothing. But we have to at least go in the right direction. And if we go in the right direction, then by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, things will actually manifest. More. It's already manifested. It's not that everything has disappeared. The Hare Krishna movement is still glorious, but it should be much more glorious than it is now. It should also, the aim of our acharyas is to have a cultural revolution that actually convinces not just hundreds of people or thousands of people, but millions of people that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that people should become His eternal servants. So I'll stop there. We have 3 minutes. Are there any questions? Yes?
Yeah, you thought about Namaruchi.
Microphone.
Microphone.
You thought about Namaruchi. And then you spoke about Japa and Kirtan. Somehow, I speak about my own experience. When I chant the holy name by Japa, just speaking the name is for me is tasteful, but not extremely like Kirtan, because it's not so easy to me to think about Krishna's activities, to see Krishna completely present in the moment. But when I chant the japa, meditating some pastimes gets really tasteful. So I went to some japa workshops, and some say it's okay, meditating pastimes, some thought no, we should just concentrate on the name. So what's your opinion?
Well, I wrote to Srila Prabhupada about the same thing. So I can give you Prabhupada's opinion, that he wrote to me at least. I wrote to Srila Prabhupada and I said, Srila Prabhupada, when I'm chanting Hare Krishna, is it alright if I remember Krishna's pastime? Because I had the ability, at least at that time, I could chant Hare Krishna and go through the Krishna book. And probably I was expecting Prabhupada to write back, oh, you're such a nice devotee, you're so advanced, so nice, you're remembering Krishna's pastime. Then I got the letter back, and Prabhupada said, no. He said, when you chant Hare Krishna, you should simply chant and listen. And if Krishna's pastimes come spontaneously, that's very nice, but not that we're artificially trying to remember them. So we should just do that. Then we'll actually, otherwise, just like Krishna walks into this room right now, and we just neglect him, because we're remembering your pastimes. Please sit down. I'm remembering your pastimes. I'll take care of you later. So when we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna is actually personally present there. And if we actually increase our quality of chanting, if it's more callingly, more feelingly, more lovingly, calling out to him and Srimati Radharani, then automatically everything else will follow. But we have to respect the holy name, or else it'll be somewhat artificial.
comes naturally, it's
That's
okay.
nice. Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to try to avoid.
Well, no, we don't avoid. We just try. Our main meditation is how to increase the quality of our chanting. If we can't use our intelligence for that, then Krishna will give us more intelligence how to do it. And the more we do that, then the more Krishna will reveal himself to us. But if we try to artificially remember him, it's kind of like trying to force Krishna. The force and love aren't very compatible with each other. The feeling of surrender, of loving surrender, is what attracts really Krishna. All right, so I'll stop there. Thank you very much. Grantaraj. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Gora Prahladananda.
Prahladananda Maharaj ki jai.